all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, where we've got all the latest newspapers, the latest opinions and the latest jokes. So join us for the next hour to find out, why is The Guardian crying? Who is the most problematic American in Prince Harry's life? And why does this goldfish deserve to live? I'm Josh Howie, and tonight's comedians, the finest in their weight class, are Leo Kearse and Kerry Marks. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with my old mate, Sophia Hill.
A very good evening. It's just gone 11 o'clock. I'm Sophia Hill in the GB newsroom. The top story this evening, the Prince of Wales has described the past year as brutal, as he's contended with major family health scares, seeing both his wife and father being treated for cancer. William spoke candidly about 2024, saying it's probably been the hardest year in my life and a dreadful experience. The Prince's comments were made in an interview with British media covering his 4-day visit to South Africa to stage his Earthshot Prize in Cape Town. Another top story tonight, as we're hearing reports that 3 people have been arrested in connection with the death of One Direction star Liam Payne. The singer died after falling from a 3rd-floor balcony in Argentina nearly a month ago. The public prosecutor's office in Argentina said 3 people had been charged with abandonment of a person followed by death and supply and facilitation of narcotics in connection to his death. Payne had traces of alcohol, cocaine and prescription antidepressants in his system when he died. That's according to authorities. Prosecutors have said that those charged are someone who was close to Payne, a hotel employee and a suspected drug dealer. Looking stateside, President-elect Donald Trump has made his first appointment. Susan Summerall Wiles has been appointed as White House Chief of Staff, having formerly been serving as co-chair to Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. Staying in the US, President Joe Biden has told Americans to accept their choice and bring down the temperature following Kamala Harris's defeat to Donald Trump. Speaking at the White House, he says the electoral system is fair and it can be trusted. With just over 74 days until Trump enters the White House, Biden reminded Americans of their responsibility to make the next few weeks count.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down, but the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up. Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated.
Sir Keir Starmer has signed a deal with Balkan nations today to target people smuggling gangs at the 5th EU summit. 46 European Union leaders met today to discuss issues including economic security and migration concerns. The Prime Minister has been holding bilateral meetings with European leaders, including President Zelensky. The summit will also address Donald Trump's win as the bloc focuses on how to accommodate the country's 47th president. The Prime Minister was once again asked on his view on the US-UK relationship.
I had a very good meeting with President-elect Trump a few weeks ago when we had dinner together in New York, and that was very positive, very constructive, as I think you know. And obviously I had a phone call with him last night, again, very positive, very constructive.
And finally, with a month to go before the reopening of the Notre Dame, the iconic French cathedral has welcomed 3 new bells. One of the bells was used during the Paris 2024 Olympics at the Stade de France athletics venue and will be installed inside the cathedral with 2 smaller ones. After closing for restoration 5 years ago following a devastating fire, the cathedral will reopen its doors in just a few weeks. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Sophia Hill. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, I'm Josh Howie and welcome to Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's top stories. Let's have a quick look to see what Leo and Kerry have to get to work with on Friday's front pages. We have the Daily Mail. William, it's been brutal for us all. The Sun, hardest year of my life. Daily Telegraph, Reeves is driving up prices. Guardian, Biden pledges peaceful transition. The Eye, Trump could threaten to hold back intelligence. And Daily Star, the Space Cadet. Leo, lots and lots of news to get through. Let's go!
Yeah, we got all the news. So we're going to start off with The Guardian. It has a picture of Biden looking slightly confused, but he pledges a peaceful transition as Putin congratulates Trump. And as the Babylon Bee pointed out yesterday, a couple of days ago, they were saying Trump was Hitler. So why are they now promising a peaceful transition? Why would you peacefully transition to Hitler?
Well, also, I get very nervous when Democrats mention transitioning.
Yeah,
No more of that.
which is something that Donald Trump is going to stop, by the way, child transitioning, and he's going to investigate if any doctors have been transitioning children who are vulnerable, don't fully understand the consequences. They're going to be investigated. People are making money off it.
They pay millions of dollars off this.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the stakes are pretty high. You know, it used to just be a money train if you wanted to chop children's bits off, but now there are some drawbacks as well. But this story here is about the Democrats questioning the role of Biden in the scale of the defeat, because obviously they had a huge loss. I mean, a really catastrophic loss. Over 300 electoral college votes to Trump. They've lost control of the Republicans have got full control of the House and of Congress and the Senate. And Biden seems to look happier. Not in this particular picture, but in the actual video, he looks really happy.
Yeah, he's relaxed now.
And also speaking quite clearly. It's almost as if it's a Kaiser Soze moment. He's just like, after he got bumped off the campaign, he's decided to, maybe the team that did the cheating last time, maybe he stood them down and let Kamala.
Maybe someone's been giving him different pills.
It looked a bit when he stepped forward for his speech, as if everyone's looking going, who are you? I thought you went ages ago. He just suddenly appeared again. I think he made a bit of a meal of it as well, this whole transition, peaceful transition, trying to make his point. He was just overemphasising it a little bit. Peaceful, so we know what you're doing. Yes, we get it.
Yeah. There's another tiny little story here. Plea for unhealthy food tax to tackle obesity. We already have the sugar tax, but they want more. And this is at the bottom. And what do you think, Kerry? This is good news. I mean,
we're going to tax children for...
I mean, you're looking very svelte, if I might say. You've got the suit on, you're looking wonderful. Had a haircut. What do you think?
I had a haircut, that's what makes the difference for me.
So do you think just to give children free haircuts?
Do I think we should be charging children... We're not charging children, we're charging adults more for sweet products to give to children, is that right?
Yeah, exactly, like cigarettes.
But for giving cigarettes to children.
Cigarettes keep you slim.
I think there's other ways of going around it. I think you can make the healthier stuff just taste good. You could make...
With sugar?
You could... well, the sugar does do that for...
How are you going to do that with broccoli?
Drop the prices on healthy food rather than putting up the prices on unhealthy food. Well, just let people have a choice to eat and get fat and die. Why not?
Well, I've got to ask, if putting a tax on unhealthy food makes people eat less unhealthy food, what do they think an income tax does? When they put income tax up,
yes,
it makes people stop working.
I've never tried to eat income tax.
That's a very good point,
Let's go to the Times. What have they got then, Kerry?
OK. Well, let's do.
I don't know why you're saying OK. This is your.
I like to adjust.
You're like,
I like time to adjust.
OK. Yes, it's your paper. You have been designated the Times.
Can't we have an advert or something?
It's a peaceful transition.
Yeah, I need a peaceful transition. You're right. Trump eyes quick start with tariffs and tax cuts. So this is Trump's been talking about doing this for ages, of bringing in tariffs, and largely because he's trying to reverse the era of globalisation and wants to bring lots of businesses back to America, which will probably work. There's a lot of things he's going to do which obviously aren't going to be totally in our interest, but may readjust the world in a little way. Like also his attitude towards NATO and towards the America's defence spending and so on with Ukraine is really what we're realising is for a long time now we've been leaning on America totally. We haven't really got an army anymore. We've been holding their America's outstretched.
It's like a bad thing.
Pocket.
It's been good.
I think it's a little kick in the backside for us to realise that we have to do a few things. But I've told him where you live.
What do you think about this, Leo? I mean, economists pretty much universally say this is going to add like $9 trillion to their deficit. I mean, tariffs, that's going to hurt their economy.
It's going to hurt the American economy. I mean, it'll make some things more expensive for American citizens. So you won't be able to buy, I mean, in China, they're making really cheap electric cars. So you won't be able to buy those really cheap electric cars because Trump's going to put tariffs on them. But it means you're going to have better paid manufacturing jobs in America. And I think America's big enough to withstand these tariffs. And I think it's a bad economic model to be dependent on cheap labour in other countries. Never mind being dependent on cheap labour in your own country as well. But what's interesting is last time he introduced all these tariffs, particularly on Chinese goods, and the Democrats kept these tariffs. So if they're such a terrible idea, why didn't they scrap them?
Yeah,
and also I think the Ukraine situation is a worry because Europe is not ready. For some reason, Europe is spending €1 trillion on net zero, which doesn't really worry me too much. But 50 billion euros on Ukraine, which is much more of a pressing concern and could lead to a much more of a sort of imminent threat to Europe. But I think Trump is going to make a peace deal happen quickly. The flip side of that, the downside of that, is that the next few months are going to be absolute hell for Ukraine because Russia is going to be throwing everything it can to claim as much land as it can before the peace deal is struck.
But it also depends what the peace deal is and what caveats are put into it and so on, because it's likely to end up with some kind of land agreement and maybe Russia gets to, or Russian, or people who are ethnically Russian get to keep Donetsk and so on. But even then, it's got to be with some kind of rule and to stop them then growing another army there. So
and they'll use the Korean model. I expect they'll use a sort of demilitarized zone. Well, it's interesting. The North Korean troops are already there.
Yes, of course.
They know how it works.
The other big story in the Times, Kerry, is Prince William.
Prince William has said he's had a brutal year, which of course he has, because his father and his wife have been very ill with cancer, and it would have been very strange if the story was, oh, it's been great. What a lovely time. So this is a bit of a non-story. I mean, that's how, this is one of those cases where someone has reacted in the way they better react, really. I mean...
Yeah, well, have you had a terrible year? Yes, I've had a terrible year.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad, yeah.
I like how they called it an annus horribilis.
Yes, you could have done that one.
And they got the little halo above his head there.
Oh, yeah.
That was quite...
there is, isn't there?
Yeah, they probably were like, could you just go a little bit to the left, please?
bit of subtle propaganda there.
Exactly. Leo, what have we got at the Telegraph, then?
The Telegraph is everything you could possibly want to read, all in one page. They've got the picture of Nigel Farage with
his son.
With Trump's son.
Oh, with Trump's son.
Trump's son, Barron. Barron Trump.
Are you sure that that's not Gary Barlow's son?
Well, I'll tell you what, if Trump's son and Gary Barlow's son somehow managed to combine their DNA and have children, those children would be 15 feet tall. Barron Trump is apparently 6'9".
Wow. There's a great little video online of him growing over the last few years, and you see every year him just getting a little bit taller.
And he's been growing as a person as well, which is great. One day he's going to be Emperor of the USA. There's a story there that's related to the picture of Farage with Rayner building bridges with the US after Trump buffoon insult. So she described Trump as a buffoon. Obviously, it's become a sort of rite of passage for Labour politicians to insult the leader of the free world in some way. Lammy has obviously called... Lammy was way worse, called him like a neo-Nazi KKK sympathiser and all this like mad stuff that isn't even like grounded in reality. And he's the foreign secretary. He's supposed to be leading the diplomacy.
He's got a job for 5 years now. I mean, Keir Starmer saying that he's not going to fire him for this government is insane.
Yes.
I mean, Lammy can just do whatever he wants. I'm going to go and do some drugs and sleep with some of our guys.
I think Lammy's just... Keir's just worried that Lammy obviously wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere else.
Oh, so that's very kind.
It's at the very least awkward, isn't it? I mean, you don't really want to be the person whose job it is to get on with the American president and other world leaders to call them by names before they even get in.
Delete your Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, and the other big story here is Reeves. This is what really affects us. Is Reeves is driving up prices, warns the bank. That's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's looking like there's going to be a boom in market prices and everything, and not a boom, but just a rise of everything. Really, I don't know whether you could call that.
It's a boom if you're selling it.
It's a boom if you're selling it. Yeah, and that's from drinks, and of course, I think bus prices are only going to go up by £1 or something. They've been protected, but not necessarily alcohol.
Well, it's just lots of inflation essentially, and we were people who've got mortgages were hoping that the rates are going to be coming down. It doesn't seem that it's going to be that quick.
Well, yeah, the rates have come down like a quarter point, but the banks are saying they're not going to pass that on because they want the money for themselves. And I can understand that. I like having money as well. I mean, the real problem is we've got a really hardcore socialist government that isn't running the country sustainably. They're spending lots and lots and lots of money on the wrong things. They're putting loads of money into, ridiculous energy schemes and, sheds for bats and stuff. Our country is spending 44% of GDP. The government is spending 44% of GDP. I mean, that's almost half of the economic activity done by the government. Housing can be built by the private sector. Why does the government the government need to get involved in anything? The government should just, we need police, we need an army, maybe some roads would be nice. Collect the bins. That's it.
Potholes.
Yeah, potholes that comes under roads.
Fine. Let's go on to the Metro. This is quite a disturbing story.
The church's 40-year abuser cover-up. So this is the story. John Smith, who died and never got to face justice and accused of abusing more than 100 children. So the story really is about a church cover-up. The church is basically acting, or has acted, much like the police do now over sexual cases. They kind of played that role earlier. They knew what was going on and they didn't say very much or do anything about it. And there's a large number of cases, of course, that came up because of it. This is really centred around Welby, who is being criticised over the scandal, the Archbishop, and he's basically saying he didn't know anything. I don't know much more about this story other than the fact he's denying all knowledge of it, which seems rather unlikely.
But I mean, Catholics will be relieved.
Yeah, I mean, this is a different religion, well, slightly, different sect of Christianity that's under the focus now. But Welby, I don't think this is the first, unless it's the same one. I know when he was Dean of Liverpool, there was some sort of cover-up of an abuser that, made the papers. I'm not absolutely certain of the details of that. Unless that's the same one. It doesn't sound like it. This is a guy who went to Zimbabwe, or was sent to Zimbabwe and South Africa, doing a sort of, world tour of paedophilia. It's kind of disgusting that that's how they dealt with these issues, is by sending the person to a different parish or out of the country.
Yeah.
Leo, I know you really wanted to cover this story in the Daily Express, didn't you? Not Prince Wales, but the Just Batty.
Yeah, not Prince William, who says it's been the hardest year of his life. But Just Batty, this is HS2. Part of the HS2 spending is building a 1 kilometre long bat shed that's basically just like a mesh tunnel, like your granddad's got in his allotment. But the one in your granddad's allotment probably didn't cost £100 million. This one is costing £100 million for a kilometre of mesh tunnel. This is government procurement at its finest. This is why we need the government to stop doing things, because when they do things, it costs insanely, way more than it should be like maybe 10 grand. I could build it for 10 grand.
Bruce Wayne would do it for a lot less.
Yeah, totally.
Underneath his.
It sounds like a fun ride though. If it's a feature, like you get to go through a bat cave. I don't know how long how long is it?
It's a kilometre.
A kilometre's bat cave would be brilliant.
It's not as fun as the bat cave in the film. And also for £100 million, you could actually get each bat and give it its own castle in Transylvania. This is bat shed insanity.
They also said there's no evidence that the high-speed trains interfere with bats anyway.
Yeah, that's what Justin Welby said.
That's good. What a wonderful waste of money. Finally, very quickly, Daily Star, Kerry.
The Daily Star tells Orange Man Baby, that's how they describe Trump, urged to finally release secret. So this is about Trump releasing files on UFOs. I thought we did UFO files a while ago. I thought that was...
No, there's more files, more aliens.
I want to see the P. Diddy files and the Epstein files. He's got so many files to release, I can't wait.
Yeah, JFK and stuff also is supposed to be releasing. So
all right, great.
Who knows?
Right, well, there we go. We've ticked off the front pages, but there are lots more meaty stuff to come. Who did Trump put before Starmer? And who won't be getting an apology from Sadiq Khan? Find out in 2.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
This is reported in the Telegraph today, and it's about being white or being coloured or being anti-racist. Is Monopoly a racist game?
This is an incredible story, actually, I have to say. I'm reading this from the Mail. It's in Telegraph as well, but from the Mail. Children should be playing Monopoly to learn about racial privilege, councils claim. While white players should be given more money, spend less time in jail, and also be given a head start on buying property to convey inequality and white supremacy. And this all, I'm not making this up, and this all comes from a document called How to Raise Anti-Racist Children, which was drawn up for the Barbie manufacturer Mattel in 2020, and it's been endorsed, or at least circulated, by Leicestershire County Council, Southampton City Council, Lambeth London Borough and the City of London Corporation, who apparently think this is a sensible way to go forward. I mean, for goodness sake, Monopoly is just a bit of fun, isn't it? Let's just enjoy it.
It's a wonderful example of how anti-racist thinking becomes racist. What they're saying is that white children should be given privileges on the Monopoly board.
Because they've got it in real life.
So that they learn that they already have privilege. Do we really think children are going to think that? Or do we really think children are going to think, oh, great, I have an white children are going to think, great, I have an advantage?
They're going to think, oh, no, I've landed on Mayfair and there's 4 houses there.
It's wonderfully stupid.
We've also heard it with nursery rhymes as well, though, haven't we? And mums and dads being told not to sing Bar Bar Black Sheep.
That's in the story as well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's steeped in white culture. And what a lot of nonsense that is as well.
What are you meant to sing instead?
Well, Bar Bar, I don't know, White Sheep, perhaps, I don't know.
Or Rainbow Sheep or something.
Wah Wah White Sheep. You can say Wah Wah White Sheep as they play Monopoly with their privileges.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Josh Howin. I'm blessed to have with me the sizzling comedy chops of Leo Kearse and Kerry Marks. But a quick reminder of the front pages. The Daily Mail, William, it's been brutal for us all. The Sun, hardest year of my life. Daily Telegraph, Reeves is driving up prices. The Guardian, Biden pledges peaceful transition. The Eye, Trump could threaten to hold back intelligence. And Daily Star, the Space Cadet. We've also heard from you on the Your Say. Thank you. One of the says here, could one of the producers possibly turn the lights down? The glare from Josh's skull is getting in my eyes. We'll try something like that.
Are you wearing makeup? Have you got, like, the anti-shine stuff?
They don't have. They've used literally a gallon of the anti-shine.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
You're bankrupting the makeup lady.
I might have to wear my shades if you're going to sit this close.
This is terrible. OK, well, sorry about that. Leo, let's start with Friday's Telegraph. And who really has the most special relationship?
So Trump speaks to Macron before Starmer. So even though Trump obviously is going to hate Macron because, number one, he's French. Number two, he's a cheese-eating surrender monkey. Number three, he's a socialist. Actually, he's probably less of a socialist than Starmer. He spoke to Macron before Starmer. This is a big snub for Starmer. And there's often a scramble, it says here, among world leaders to be the first to personally congratulate a new US president over the phone.
Kiss their bums.
Yeah, to kiss the bum. A Downing Street insider played down the significance of the order of the calls to the Telegraph, noting that Sir Keir had a private dinner with Mr Trump in September, unlike several other national leaders. And at that dinner, President Trump decided that he hates Keir Starmer. I mean, you can imagine Keir Starmer isn't going to be much crack in person.
He's funny. That is what I've heard. He's like a witty guy.
Why doesn't he do it? Why does he hide it? He puts so much effort into hiding his charisma.
Me. I'm a really funny guy off camera.
Funny shouldn't be a rumour.
That's a lie.
You know what I mean? It should stand out.
Yeah, and it's not the only snub for Starmer. He's also just been snubbed by the Hungarian leader, Viktor Orban, who shook the hands of other... Yeah,
You've seen that clip? Have you seen the clip?
No, I haven't.
Basically, all these other world leaders get out and then they like kissing and hugging and all this stuff.
Oh, I did see the clip. Sorry.
Yeah, and then Starmer gets out and he's just like, hello.
I did see the clip. I just wanted to see you demonstrate it. And this is how I prefer clips. I let you batten them out. So, yeah, it was Trump calling But what happened was that they were waiting for Trump to call him, and Trump said, let the Prime Minister know I'll call you back after I've spoken to Putin and Kim Jong-un and whoever the leader of Bhutan is, you know, and then finally got through to him and said, you know, I hope all your people got back safe after canvassing for the Democrats. You know, hope they had a nice time over in America. Goodbye. It's all kind of pathetic, really, isn't it? You know, of course he's going to ring Netanyahu and Macron first, and they were like, hey, mate, where you been?
Yeah, well, that's it. They have a relationship with him.
Yeah,
before,
of course it's gone, but
it wasn't exactly a cuddly call. I mean, he basically told Netanyahu, "Look, you've got to end this war." Like Trump is a very pretty much.
No, I think
he said by the time I get in, I want this war to be over.
Well, he made a speech saying our hostages better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price. And I think that's interesting. First of all, the use of our, because of course Americans were taken as hostages.
Yeah,
and
they've got 6 hostages.
It's really weird that no president has the president hasn't said this in a year, and it's been said and by our government as a kind of afterthought.
There's a British citizen, there's a young woman who's.
Yeah, of course it is, but it's still been like an afterthought. It's like, yes, we want peace and so on. Oh, and by the way, can you release the hostages? But it should have always been this. America's very proudly always been, do this to us, we will come after you. And then for a year they've done nothing. And now finally there is at least someone saying, give back the hostages now, or else.
The Sun next, Kerry, and who are the Democrats blaming, apart from, you know, everybody else?
OK, so this is the blame game have defeated Democrats. What happened was Kamala Harris promised that there would be joy after the election, and it turns out there is. The joy of watching the post-mortem dissection and the crying whinging.
Do you do some crying? Do you want to do an impression of one of the crying, Leo?
Yeah.
That's good. Can I see your cry? It's been fun. It's been a fun few days.
It's been painfully hilarious. But look, everyone seemed to know what was to blame, and the truth is it was everything and nothing, and it was a complete lack of policies probably didn't help. You know, whilst one person's doing policy. And also, if you're going to say that your opponent is a narcissist, which I think Trump is quite definitely a narcissist.
I'm a narcissist.
And I think he's proud of it. I think he would say, yes, I'm the best narcissist in the world. And I think Kamala is also a narcissist, but in a slightly more subtle way. But the whole Never Trump thing was stupid, because what Trump made his campaign about was Trump. And what they made their campaign about was Trump. And what Never Trump does is the same thing. Yeah. It makes it all about him. So I think they'll be looking into this for a long time to try and figure out everything they got wrong.
It's simple.
It's going to be a long list.
I mean, first of all, it's simple, but also please involve George Clooney that they're trying to blame this on. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're trying to blame, because Clooney took out a big advert asking Biden to step down.
Writing crayons, right?
And they're blaming Biden for not stepping down sooner. They're blaming everybody. I mean, they should blame themselves. People, they've got to understand, regular people just aren't that mad about transgender race communism. It's just not this huge thing for them. They're more worried about eggs costing $22.
Yeah. So you know, that's why every single demographic surprised her and went, or surprised the Democrats and voted against them en masse, including white women, which they thought was an absolute certainty. That's the thing, they thought all of these groups were a certainty.
Yeah.
Turns out none of them.
But they also seem to be thinking that Biden would have won if he had. If he'd actually been in the race, which wouldn't have happened anyway.
I don't think Biden would have won, but I don't think he would have done worse. Because the trouble that Kamala had, she didn't enunciate a single policy. I heard her say a couple of policies, but they were deeply weird and racist. Like she was basically saying, "Oh, we're going to give you money for this and money for that, and also for black men, we're going to legalise drug dealing." And it's like, that is so patronising and so racist to say, "Oh, we know you guys like selling drugs. We're going to legalise that so you can make some money." Because also they won't make money. Big businesses will come in if it's legal. And do it instead.
And there were people tweeting things like, if only we had convinced the Latinos that Latinx would work.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I'd say the one thing, please, Democrats, don't make the lesson be that you weren't progressive enough. Yeah. Because you will lose forever and ever. Leo, it seems Switzerland wants to keep all that gold to itself.
So Switzerland will cap its population to 10 million people in an immigration crackdown under plans put forward by the hard-right People's Party. By hard-right, they probably mean quite sensible by 90s standards. But this Swiss People's Party is the largest in the ruling coalition of 4 parties. So they say their plan is, as soon as the population numbers reach 9.5 million. It's battle royale. No, it's not. It's they're going to start getting rid of just expelling the people who are temporarily admitted persons, so they won't receive a residence or settlement permit or Swiss citizenship or anything like that. And the trouble with this is the population cap won't differentiate between workers arriving from abroad who often contribute a lot to society, especially in Switzerland. I've got a mate who works for a bank in Switzerland.
Doctors as well, and
doctors, stuff like that. And also, it's lumping them in with asylum seekers who, the asylum system is now basically a sort of a route for low-skilled migrants to come into Western countries. Although it's at least different from the UK's approach, which is to incentivise low-skilled migration from Afghanistan and wherever else by prioritising those asylum cases.
But the very big thing, sorry, Kerry, is just that they're talking about this by 2050.
Yes, it's not much leeway between...
Well, it's not much leeway, but the other thing is, of course, there's going to be birth issues in terms of they're not going to have the population necessarily. They might be begging people by 2050 to come to the country.
Of course, it's a bit odd to make this till 2050 because there's so many factors that could change. But also, it's they're already at 9 million. So we're talking about just a 1 million gap until 2050.
Well, for the UK, that's about 6 months.
Hard to imagine. Well, we're 6 times bigger than Switzerland, and we've got about 8 times their population as well. So
they also need some help not being the most boring country in the world. Kerry, the Express has some outrage.
That was harsh.
Yeah, well, it's boring. I think they need...
Then you said that.
Go ahead. They're not going to do anything.
Anyway,
let's go on to the Express.
Okay,
can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Outrage as Sadiq Khan refuses to apologise to Chris Carver, firearms officer. So this has happened at what is described as the Fiery City Hall Showdown, which I don't think was the name of the session, although I would have gone along if it was, come along.
Like a cowboy thing.
Sounds great, yeah. And, this is really where... OK, so what it comes down to is Susan Hall, the former mayor, mayoral rival, asked him to say sorry for the fact that he... of what he said about the whole thing at the time with Chris Carver.
He was a great dude.
He talked him up.
He was the best gangster ever.
Up a killer, one of the best gangsters. We're very proud of him. And it's pretty bad for a London mayor not to be supportive of his own police force.
Yeah.
Really, I'd say that's not a good look. It does say that he could not remember receiving any briefing to this effect, despite the Met Police and the Commissioner also in attendance, suggesting it was standard for Mayor and Home Secretary to be briefed. And I'd say that's a bad assumption. That's bad either way, whether he wasn't briefed and then made a comment like that, or if he was briefed and then made a comment like that.
Seems like he's fibbing. Well, it seems like he could be fibbing, and also the Met Police Commissioner also could be fibbing. I mean, it seems unlikely that he hadn't been given this information, as Kerry said, and if he wasn't given the information...
I think it's likely that he's covering himself. I mean, obviously we can't tell, but it's also interesting. It's not just him that's made the supportive comments of Chris Kaba, who was a gangster who was shot by a police officer while he was trying to hurt police officers. So that's you should get shot when you're doing that. But also organisations that are funded by City Hall made comments that linked Chris Kaba's shooting to the fight against systemic racism. And this is really sort of glib and patronising, and a lot of black people feel that it's the criminals and the gangsters like Chris Kaba who are the danger in their communities and are doing harm to their communities. So for Sadiq Khan to side with the gangsters and these organisations to side with the gangsters over those people, over the black Londoners...
it's embarrassing to BLM it.
Yeah, but also and now to not apologise, to not admit that he made a mistake. Right, we're at the halfway point. We've got loads more in the tank. Why do the Guardian staff need therapy? And what is the 4B movement? And why men should be scared? Stick around to find out.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It stays gloomy for most of us over the next 24 hours. Very little change. A lot of low cloud mist, fog, some drizzle, but also some cloud breaks. We've seen those across West Wales, North Devon, northern Scotland, northern England during the day, and they'll continue in a number of these locations overnight, most especially northern Scotland. And where we do see these clear spells, temperatures will fall away, so you wouldn't rule out a touch of frost. A few fog patches, say, for the Highland Glens. But otherwise, we keep the cloud cover and we keep the mild air. 8 to 12 Celsius first thing, but it is a grey start for most of us with That extensive low cloud covering the hills in the west and giving some outbreaks of drizzle, particularly for the Outer Hebrides. Some more persistent rain here, a fresh breeze. Northern Scotland, though, the mainland at least, seeing plenty of blue skies first thing. Come further south into the Highlands and Grampians, covered by cloud, a lot of hill fog. Northern Ireland, some drizzle first thing. Likewise for Wales and the southwest. Generally dry for central and southeastern England, but overcast skies remaining and very little change through the day. So the weather you start the day with is likely to be the kind of weather you end the day with. The drizzle will come and go in the west, but it's likely to be a bit more persistent in some places compared with recent days. There are outbreaks of rain gathering to the west to arrive in for the weekend. Brightest skies, like I say, northern Scotland. Highest temperatures here, mid-teens. Otherwise a little bit cooler compared with Thursday. Now, Saturday begins with cloudy skies for most of us. We'll see a bit more rain arriving into the west. And during Saturday and into Sunday, we'll see these bands of rain move through. But on the positive side, they will clear the air so that by the start of next week, we'll see much more sunshine.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe.
Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. A quick reminder of Friday's front pages. The Daily Mail. William, it's been brutal for us all. The Sun, hardest year of my life. Daily Telegraph, Reeves is driving up prices. The Guardian, Biden pledges peaceful transition. The Eye, Trump could threaten to hold back intelligence from UK. And the Daily Star, the Space Cadet. Kerry, let's start this section with Friday's Telegraph and the most pathetic story of the night.
Yes, unbelievable, but not surprising.
No.
The Guardian is offering therapy to its staff. Why? Because something horrifying has happened to them? Why? Because an explosion in their offices? Why? Because a dead body was found in the lane outside? No, but because Trump won. They are so upset about something that's happened in another country that they have to have therapy for it. Why can't they just make a video of themselves crying like everyone else is doing at the moment? You know, those are at least popular. But, yeah, this is everything that's wrong with The Guardian, isn't it? This is just so Guardian. This is what they're saying is, or someone, a Guardian spokesman has said that they offer therapy after the Trump result is actually our employee assistance programme, a function that any responsible international media organisation has available for staff at all times. Do we? Do we, Josh?
I mean, that's a good question. Would we hear if Kamala had won? How would people feel? I mean, I don't know if this is ideally, it's a free speech channel. People with lots of different opinions here.
Yeah.
Some supporting Trump. I know you supported Kamala, and that's all fine.
It was hard for
you. How do you feel emotionally?
I feel absolutely great. Honestly, Trump should shut down The Guardian. Like, he should use the misinformation laws that Kamala and Keir Starmer want to bring in. Because The Guardian spreads lots of misinformation. It spreads misinformation like socialism is good, men can be women by just saying that they're women and putting a little flag on their lapel. Absolute nonsense like that. So why not let the left have a taste of their own medicine if they don't like free speech so much? Also, I love that students aren't missing out on being treated like absolute babies. So students at Georgetown University were told that they could play with Lego, colour in books, although if they go over the lines, they're going to cry again. And also they can have milk and cookies in self-care suites. I know I'm drinking milk right now, but I don't have a cookie.
Not for their same reasons. The reason is everything. They also get to use of a therapy duck, which I thought that was a euphemism. I thought we were being censored.
Well, I've heard of it.
Say, how would you feel? Would you want a therapy duck?
I've heard of a toilet toilet duck.
Yeah. The Quacktavius, the therapy Dr. Campus. I think, Leo, this is obviously The Guardian is very upset about all this. I don't think the therapy compares to the therapy they're going to have to offer their people if something truly awful happens, like Hamas surrenders or gives back the hostages, then they'll be really crying their eyes out.
Yeah, they seem to be. I remember the reaction supposedly on the morning after October 7th, when 1,200 Jews were murdered, and I remember reading about
therapy they needed.
Interesting there. In fact, there was sometimes the opposite of that. Right, Leo, iNews has a story about who now runs the world.
So how Elon Musk and the tech bros stole power from the Murdochs. So Donald Trump embraced Elon Musk and Joe Rogan during his campaign. Was alternative media over trad outlets the reason he won? And basically, I mean, this person isn't saying we can't. This person is saying we can't know for sure. But yeah, we totally can know for sure. You know how many more people listen or watch Joe Rogan's podcast compared to CNN?
Is it more than this who watch the show?
I don't know about this, but CNN is one of the major outlets in the USA. 30 times as many people watch or listen to Joe Rogan's podcast.
That's about the same we watch this.
And it's motivating young men to get out there and vote, and young men came out and voted for Trump, and also Kamala. I mean, Kamala didn't do the podcast because she's a say-nothing politician. She doesn't have any message. She does, all her stuff is just rote learning. She can't just freewheel like Trump can because she's not really in control. There's Obama and various other people pulling strings, setting policy behind the scenes. So she has to be very careful what she actually says. It's interesting as well that the Democrats spent over $1 billion on their campaign, and Trump spent a third of that.
Yeah, but on more traditional outlets like advertising on television shows and print. The interesting point that this guy makes here, Stephen Buckley's lecturer of digital media sociology, is what he says here is Trump's communication strategy is only unconventional in the eyes of the people who say it's unconventional. For most people nowadays, it seems obvious that you would go with Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. But also, I think Trump, one of his successes, is very much a product of the age, because for all the criticisms people have of him and his mannerisms, his constant repetition of use of small words and so on, he's a natural influencer. He's very, very good at basically all this. I've said before, he's a bit like, how some psychics have read the books on how to do cold reading, and others can just do it. They have a natural gift for it. And I think he has a gift for talking in that way that influences, that gets people, whether you care about it or not, but gets you repeating things he said, questioning, talking about him and so on. And it lends itself to the podcast. But also the podcast is, it's nice because it's a more casual, more direct way of talking to the public. I think it was a very successful thing that he did. And also, of course, taking it away from the mainstream media, which is kind of facing a new role in the world.
Yeah. Right, Mail Next, and Kerry, this isn't going to have any impact on you, right?
Nothing will. Nothing impacts me at all.
But this specifically...
you mean the story?
Yeah.
Oh, OK, I thought you meant generally. Interest spikes in South Korea's radical 4B movement that bans dating, sex and childbirth after Donald Trump election win. So this is a thing that started, it was a movement that started in South Korea. No one's quite sure how long ago, I think, but it is called 4B because B is a form of shorthand for the word no in Korean. So what's happening is the idea is women punishing men because they voted Trump. I think I'm getting that right.
That's basically it. Yes, it's like Liza Strata, where the women withheld their...
Yeah, it's refusal of heterosexual marriage, refusal of childbirth, so they're going to punish future babies over this, which is ridiculous. Abstaining from dating men and rejection of heterosexual sexual relationships as a whole. No way that gay men are going to join in with this and punish each other, I can assure you that. This is really nice. It's mad, hysterical women who aren't going to be passing on their genes, which I think is very decent to step out of the gene pool.
Did they realise...
What's that?
Did they realise they're doing exactly what these people want?
Yeah,
all these Conservatives are like, don't be promiscuous, don't have abortions. They're like, right, we're not going to have sex with you. And it's like, yeah, that's what the Conservatives
Republicans should offer extra, shouldn't they? Republican women should say, hey, come to us and
throw it around
we'll sort this out.
But also what's interesting is one of the women said, have you thought the male loneliness epidemic was bad? Wait until the 4B movement goes hard here in America. So you're creating more incels. You've literally just said you're going to create more incels. Incels vote for Trump. You're literally architects of your own demise.
Also, they're ignoring the 44% of women who did vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Who will continue to have relationships with men.
Yes. And the other thing they're ignoring is it's a secret ballot. So what you're going to get in a few years' time is this conversation where people are breaking up and the woman will say, actually, I faked all my orgasms, and he's going to say, I voted for Trump.
Brilliant. The portrayals start already in the Telegraph, Leo.
Yeah, so this is the Trump campaign again. It's quietly distancing itself from RFK Jr. After his new vaccine safety comments. So Mr. Kennedy had previously said that Trump had promised him control of the Department of Health and Human Services and also the Food and Drug Administration, but he's made some, fairly what would be termed, some people would say outrageous. I think they're quite sensible comments about vaccines. But he said he's going to fix the huge deficits in vaccine safety. But he did clarify we're not going to take vaccines away from anybody. He's also had some ideas that would be seen as quite unconventional, like planning to remove fluoride from drinking water. But the Trump campaign is now saying, well, it might be hard for him to get security clearance.
Well, this is it. This is a very weird article because it seems to be like from a source from within the campaign. Yet Trump, even in his acceptance speech, was like, this guy's great. I'm basically giving him everything that he wants to do with this health stuff, and now for suddenly someone supposed source to go, oh, actually, maybe we're not. I don't think there's a story here.
And RFK is right. He's right about ultra-processed food and raw milk and all this sort of stuff.
And the health of the American public is the worst ever.
Yeah, look at RFK. He's 70. He's got like a six-pack. He's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He looks amazing. And it's
but that might be because of all the fluoride in the water. We don't know.
Look at other people. Other Americans are all fat. So obviously he's doing something right. He knows what
he might be right on a few things. I don't know about removing fluoride from the water. There's a lot of evidence.
Well, there's evidence that it is effective, yet there's also evidence now that it has decreased IQ.
What?
That's
really?
what I'm saying. Having too much of it is the problem. So
I have loads of it, and I don't understand. What are you talking about, Josh?
I mean, I hate to get like fake newsy, but this just feels weird.
It doesn't feel like a story. Now, this is someone has said something. This is not any official statement of any kind, and then it goes into some of his former things when he put a dead bear in a New York park. Next to
that's so classic.
It's quite an amusing story, really. I don't know why that was supposed to be any...
And he left a bicycle next to the dead bear to make it look like an accident. What, like the bear was riding a bike?
He's like a cool dude.
Is this like a circus bear? That's mental. But yeah, that seems like a fun thing to do. Although if I found a dead bear, I'd probably just leave it alone.
So maybe let's leave him in charge of the American health system, but not in charge of their zoos.
Yeah.
Plenty more news to look at. Who is Trump winning going to be a royal pain for? And what is the best way to win arguments with your partner? Find out in 2.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
We all know that pensioners will freeze to death this winter because of the cruel cut to the winter fuel payment, rising council tax, the energy price cap going up, all of that. Now, instead of looking after them, we appear to have a government that seems to want to make their lives worse. Now, they might not care, but you do. And thanks to you, I have now raised more than £270,000 for Friends of the Elderly. You have raised more than the entire amount they gave away in grants for the most desperate pensioners last year. So amazing effort. Thank you very much. Now, I said I'd do a freezing cold swim to raise awareness for how cold some pensioners will be in their own homes this winter. And on Saturday, I went to Stickle Tarn in the Lake District. I'd like to give a massive thank you to the people who turned up to meet me along the way. I would also like to give a monumental shout-out to the wonderful camera crew. We've got John Clark and Joe Scowen, and our health and safety maestro, known only as The Stag. I come up with these crackpot ideas, but it is down to those wonderful people to make them actually happen. I would also like to give you a little warning. There are aspects of this footage that you will not be able to unsee. I am aware that at times my body resembles a bag of milk. But you know what? If me embarrassing myself helps to raise a bit more money, then so be it. And you can go to justgiving.com/page/Save Our Seniors now to donate.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the final section of headliners. Tomorrow's front pages are as follows. The Daily Mail. William, it's been brutal for us all. The Sun, hardest year of my life. Daily Telegraph, Reeves is driving up prices. Guardian, Biden pledges peaceful transition. The Eye, Trump could threaten to hold back intelligence from the UK. And the Daily Star, the Space Cadet. Quickly on your say, Martin says Kerry Marks has the look of a man that turned up in a black T-shirt and found a jacket in the cloakroom. And Leo Kearse has the look of a man that repeatedly bought the worst stock of Primark every time he walked past the place. That is a deeply unfair comment. It's TK Maxx.
It's TK Maxx, yeah. I would never shop. I would never go so high and mighty. Maybe when I start earning more money. But I thought if I asked Kerry the exact same question when we're standing over there. I said, did you get one of the jackets from the rack?
Is it? Why would you even think that, though? I don't understand why me wearing a jacket, you go, oh, well, it must have come from a rack, and he can't. What is it about me?
He owns a jacket.
I can't own a jacket.
I've never seen you look smart.
I share it with a friend.
OK, I think you look great.
He was busy.
Leo, let's kick off with Friday's Times and why might Prince Harry be moving back to the UK?
So Trump presidency could reignite Prince Harry visa row. So Prince Harry will very likely be held to account by Donald Trump if he lied about drug use on his visa application. And this is interesting because in Prince Harry's memoirs, I can't remember, what are they called? Spare. He admitted to using drugs. I think cannabis, cocaine. I don't know if he admitted to magic mushrooms, but I know a guy who knows a guy who says he sold him magic mushrooms. So
that must be true.
So it must. Well, I think
or for Ofcom reasons, it's false. I don't know which.
Well, we can provide balance.
OK, yeah, no, true.
I mean, I could get my mate on the phone if you like, but
call a friend.
Yeah, is that how they do it? Yeah. We could ask the audience, so they could tell us in the next break. But this is a guy, Niall Gardner, who sued the Biden administration for release of the Duke's visa application to see if it didn't correlate with what's in his memoirs. And I guess if Trump isn't as friendly to Prince Harry as the Biden administration is, then Prince Harry could be thrown out as a druggie.
I don't know. This Niall Gardner, I think, I don't understand really why this whole. He seems to be absolutely obsessed with it. Yeah. Kerry, the Sun has Ukraine's latest weapon to defeat their enemy.
This is the North Korean soldiers who are now fighting for Putin and are experiencing something they've never had before, which is pornography, which is not very available in North Korea. It's not totally available.
It's not available in my house.
Is it not available in your house? That's why no one goes to your house.
Yeah.
And it's more available in Russia, but still not totally available. Once they get over the border into Ukraine, then they're going to have.
Do you think that's their motivation?
They're going to keep going further and further west until they get hold of the good stuff. Maybe this will work. Maybe we'll find a new way of slowing down soldiers who've certainly come from a situation where they've never experienced it.
Do you think they're going to goon too much and not be able to fight?
They're going to what?
Goon. It's a word, you can Google it later.
Yeah. Goon. That's a Scottish word.
They don't need porn in North Korea because the women aren't obese.
Very quickly, Leo, you're the person who really knows all about weapons and Ukraine. I mean, it turns out the Ukraine that they've been actually investing in porn sites in Russia to get real news across, right?
Yeah. Oh, Ukraine's put a blinder, and they've had fake profiles on dating sites to get information. It's crazy.
Go to it. Right, the show is nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Friday's front pages. Daily Mail, William, it's been brutal for us all. The Sun, hardest year of my life. The Daily Telegraph, Reeves is driving up prices. The Guardian, Biden pledges peaceful transition. The Eye, Trump could threaten to hold back intelligence from the UK. And the Daily Star, the Space Cadet. Now, you will be quizzed on all of those headlines. That is it for tonight's show. Thank you to my guests, Leo and Kerry. And Cresta will be here tomorrow night at 11 p.m. with Leo and Bruce Devlin. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, then stay tuned for breakfast. Thank you for joining us. There we go. We're going to go to the wide shot. Ooh, no, we're not going to. Oh, there we are. There it is. We've got.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It stays gloomy for most of us over the next 24 hours. Very little change. A lot of low cloud mist, fog, some drizzle, but also some cloud breaks. We've seen those across West Wales, North Devon, northern Scotland, northern England during the day, and they'll continue in a number of these locations overnight, most especially northern Scotland. And where we do see these clear spells, temperatures will fall away, so you wouldn't rule out a touch of frost, a few fog patches, say, for the Highland Glens. But otherwise, we keep the cloud cover and we keep the mild air. 8 to 12 Celsius first thing, but it is a grey start for most of us with that extensive low cloud covering the hills in the west and giving some outbreaks of drizzle, particularly for the Outer Hebrides. Some more persistent rain here, a fresh breeze. Northern Scotland, though, the mainland at least, seeing plenty of blue skies first thing. Come further south into the Highlands and Grampians, covered by cloud, a lot of hill fog. Northern Ireland, some drizzle first thing. Likewise for Wales and the southwest. Generally dry for central and southeastern England, but overcast skies remaining and very little change through the day. So the weather you start the day with is likely to be the kind of weather you end the day with. The drizzle will come and go in the west, but it's likely to be a bit more persistent in some places compared with recent days. There are outbreaks of rain gathering to the west to arrive in for the weekend. Brightest skies, like I say, northern Scotland, highest temperatures here, mid-teens, otherwise a little bit cooler compared with Thursday. Now, Saturday begins with cloudy skies for most of us. We'll see a bit more rain arriving into the west, and during Saturday and into Sunday, we'll see these bands of rain move through, but on the positive side, they will clear the air so that by the start of next week, we'll see much more sunshine.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could win Christmas on us this year. There's cash, £20,025 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also £5,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £500 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag. For another chance to win, call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online